in one aspect, in order to beat a narcissist, you have to act like a narcissist, not become a narcissistic person. However, you do need to act like a narcissistic person, and this is usually very difficult as it goes against every single belief system and value that you have as a person, because you have the empathy to care about the narcissistic person. Yes, there can be a point where a narcissist just gets you that little bit too far and you finally think enough is enough, and you are driven by seeking that revenge from the hurt and the pain that they've caused you, that puts you onto that track where you feel less guilty for acting like a narcissistic person towards them. And that is usually when they're going to accuse you of being the narcissistic one, because they're not going to recognise that they drove you to that point. They believe you're the person who drove them to that point. So when it comes to a narcissistic person, they often devalue those around them to boost their own ego. However, when you no longer supply them with the attention and the adoration and the validation that they so desperately need from you, which is one thing a narcissistic person will do, they will withhold that attention, affection and support to punish you for not living life on their terms, for not giving them the excessive validation they believe they're entitled to. However, when they've lied to you, cheated on you, deceived you, you don't necessarily feel like giving them that attention, which is more than understandable. Yet when you begin to withhold that attention, affection and support from a narcissistic person, they will start to withdraw from you and find a new source of supply that's going to boost their ego. Which is often why, if you're in a relationship with one and they cheat on you and you find out and confront them, they turn around and say, well, if you'd have paid me more attention. They're telling on themselves. However, with a narcissist, no matter how much attention you give them, it's never enough for them. The silent treatment, when it comes to a narcissistic person, when things aren't going their way, they will just fall silent on you in order to regain control of the situation. However, that silence works against a narcissistic person. When they fall silent on you, remain calm and remain silent towards them. They're expecting you to chase them, to ask what you've done wrong, to beg for their forgiveness, to live life on their terms. However, when they are silent and you respect their silence, you might say, I understand you don't want to talk right now, I'm here when you need me, and then leave them to it. Go and focus on you. This irritates them, it confuses them, it hurts them, which is often why when they want something from you, they reappear like nothing ever happened. When it comes to no contact with a narcissistic person, they're going to ghost you. They're going to fall off the face of the planet to get you concerned about them, worried about them, chasing their friends and family to see whether they're okay, because they don't believe they got the attention and the validation that they required from you. No contact is because you've recognised their games and you're no longer willing to be hurt by them, to be let down by them, to be punished by them, to be cheated on, to be lied to be manipulated. That's it at the end. It's not that easy going no contact, and we do slip up. However, it's not to punish them. Sometimes we can use that act of wanting revenge to kickstart us into no contact. However, it's sort of redirecting us away from that person. No contact is there to move on with your life. When it comes to narcissistic people with their gaslighting, they're going to turn around and tell you that they said something they didn't, or they didn't say something that they did, and they rewrite it within their mind that is how it happened. And when you stand your ground and you know something happened and you say, yes, it did happen like that, they will accuse you of gaslighting them because they believe you're gaslighting them. When it comes to dealing with narcissistic people, some of the steps to free yourself from them are indeed very narcissistic behaviours. That does not make you a narcissistic person. And it's also in the intentions behind the behaviour and the reasons for the choice that has been made to break free from their behaviour. When it comes to narcissistic people, they fear exposure. Therefore, they go all out to smear your name, to discredit your character, to ruin your reputation. And they usually get as many people on side as possible so that nobody believes you. Yet when you discuss their behaviour, not the person as such, but more the behaviour of the person, as they fear exposure, as they realise you're opening up to people, although you're not smearing their name because you're telling the truth of what has happened, narcissistic people may well just move on and leave you alone because they fear that exposure. It's often not done to hurt them, it's often done to validate your experience. Narcissistic people lie to validate the self-serving narrative that they've sold to themselves.